and there's not that much time actually.
Yeah, great idea. We
Hey,
can start
Kim.
by talking about cutting our own hair in our 50s.
All right, yeah, right. So before we start this little conversation with Kim, I have a confession to make. I cut my own hair this morning. Who does that? Like, so I'd seen this thing, and this is like the power of social media. I saw this thing where people get their hair and they twist it and then they cut it, and then it all falls in this like lovely soft.
Yeah.
And
you were just like, that's what I'm doing today.
And I did it, and after, and as I was doing it, I was like, why are you doing this? You have a hairdresser that you love and you trust. Why don't. And then I just did it. Stupid woman. Anyway, so yeah, so my hair's tied up because if I bring it down, I've got like this lovely shape, and then it just goes. Okay, we got a bunch of people coming on. I know. Don't cut your hair because you saw something on TikTok, ladies. Oh my fucking God.
So and that's why TikTok should be banned.
That's why we should ban TikTok. Oh my God, we should totally ban TikTok. So because look what it did to my hair. So I am on Facebook with Kim Schlag, my good buddy today. We are talking about her new course, which is live already this week. It's already filling up nicely, called Fitter After 40. There was a whole bunch of you wanted some questions answering to know a little bit more about the course, and literally getting it from the horse's mouth.
I'm the horse
today. She's the horse. And so yeah, so thank you for coming on, Kim. And by the way, your hair looks nice.
Thank you. This is called, I'm trying to see how many days I cannot wash it. Every day I wake up thinking, today's the day I'll wash it. I haven't washed my hair since Saturday. That's a lot of days.
I actually think that washing hair is underrated, right?
Overrated.
There you go. I had two lots of sounds on. I think washing hair is like I go for as long as possible. It's better for your hair, right? I think. But you have like the curls. I'm so lazy. I just don't.
It's the Dyson. I use the Dyson Airwrap.
Oh, right. But you got to take a mortgage out to do the Dyson. That's the problem.
It's true.
Okay, so we're live. We're excited to get started. I'm going to be, people are saying hello. I'm going to be in the comments on Facebook. So if you've got any questions, anyone, please just ask me and I'll be there. And yeah, I'm pretty excited. I'm pretty excited about this. I'm just going to make sure I can actually comment on this as myself because I have two Amanda accounts. Here we go. Right. So Tim, let's talk about Fitter After 40.
Yeah, let's do it. So this is a program I created about 3 years ago to open up my coaching to a larger audience of people, because before then I had coached one-on-one, and one-on-one is not a good fit for everybody economically. And that was kind of the driving force behind it. And then I also had one-on-one clients who just so often wanted a community, like they didn't want just them and me talking. They wanted a community of women. And I work with women over 40. And I was like, this could be really powerful to have you guys together in some way. And so those were the driving forces behind me creating Fitter After 40. And so it is a group program for women over 40 who are looking to get strong, age better, lose weight if that's your goal, feel good in your body, feel good in your skin, and improve your relationship with food. So that's what we work on there. A large majority of the people do have some kind of weight loss goal, but not everybody does. I come at weight loss from a science-backed perspective and from a self-compassion based perspective. This is not a shaming kind of program. Your goal is your goal, and I can help you get there, but we're going to do it in a way that's going to help you feel better about yourself and not worse about yourself. That's the goal there. And we use science to do it.
And one of the reasons I personally endorse this program, and I'm happy to help promote this with Kim, is a number of reasons. One, I get asked to help women all the time with this, and I don't do any programs like this. And so I'm really happy to endorse people whose belief system I have, and I know they stay with the evidence. You're one of them. And I know the program has been super helpful because I've had colleagues, clients who have used it successfully, are still with you, I believe, and really just enjoy your work. And the other thing is as well, is that I feel like half of the time I'm on here, It's like whack-a-mole, trying to get rid of all of the nonsense that's out there. And you and I see it. And I just think that I feel like we have an ethical duty to cut through that noise and all of those predatory messages and just say to our like ladies out there who are interested, we know how to do this in a really sane manner that's not going to be stressful. It's not going to cause you to have disordered feelings around your body, around eating, and so it's just such a solid program in that way. So that's why I'm happy to do this. So what I think might be a good idea, Kim, is to talk through the different components of the program, what it looks like, what people sort of get for their money.
Absolutely. So the program is 8 weeks long, and there's several components to it. There is an education piece that are video modules that I have pre-recorded from you, and you get one per week. And I do that purposely because I don't want this to be like when you like pick up a book and you like read the whole thing and you haven't like implemented it and you just have a bunch of like
You just
ideas.
can't do it, can you? You can't do it. Yeah.
And so I drip the information to you with the idea that you're going to learn something in the modules. And then at the end of each module, there are action steps that you're then going to practice that are actually going to get you the results. So there's the education piece, and then there's the coaching piece with me. Once per week, we meet on a Zoom call. It looks a lot like what Amanda and I are doing right here. There'll be a bunch of ladies on there, everybody who's in the group. They're all women who are over 40 who have similar type goals. We meet in there together, and then I coach you. And what that means is not just a Q&A where like you ask me a question, like what's intermittent fasting? And I give it to you. Like there can be that, but it's much more like, hey, here's what's happening in my life. Like I'm trying to do this. This is what's happening. And then I ask you questions and I help you come to see what you can do. Like, what could my next steps be? Like, how can I help myself with this issue? Because you have the answers about your life. You just can't see them yet. So it's my job to help ask the questions to help you see what's going to work next, or why are you doing this thing you don't really want to be doing? How can we help you through that? So we do actual live coaching once per week for an hour. Those are recorded in case you can't come live. There's value in watching other people get coached through a similar experience that you're having. And what you'll find is if you have a question or an issue, there's likely
don't attack the mic. The mic's perfectly
falling in my face. There's likely somebody else who has a similar issue. So there's that piece. And then there's also like the group component, and we break that up into two ways. We have a large group Facebook group, so we're all in there together. You can get form feedback about your exercise. You can ask questions about your nutrition. I'm in there, my assistant coach is in there, and I have alumni ambassadors who are women who've gone through the program who are in there to help you. And then the other kind of group piece is I put you into small group accountability pods. So you'll be with 3 to 8 other women who are just like you, have similar goals as you, and you guys can touch base, whether you want to do it daily or every other day. You'll get to decide those things. And I actually help teach you about how to be a good accountability partner so that you can really hold your feet to the fire with your goals in a really compassionate way.
That's one of the parts of the program I'm super impressed with. I think it's just really nice because, I mean, if you just break it down to like an everyday thing, if you were like planning to go for a walk or planning to go to the gym and it's not a great day outside, you may not go on your own. But if your mate's sort of saying, I'll see you there and I'm going to, and then you're likely to do it. We know accountability is often there from, paying somebody to do something because you want value for your money and not letting people down. We know that. So
those two things are really powerful. And so you have both of those in the program. Like you're literally giving me some money saying, help me with this thing. That's going to make you more likely to actually do it rather than just think about it. And then when you have this group of women who you've said like, you know what, I'm going to get up after work today and I'm going to go for a 30-minute walk. And you have to text them later and be like, I did it or I didn't. You're way more likely to do the thing.
For sure. Okay, so I love that. So the community aspect, the accountability and the coaching thing, I really think is important because you don't want to be 8 weeks stranded on your own. And we've all bought into those programs where that's happened. I have too in the past, and not everybody, and especially I think at this time of our lives where we're a little bit lost sometimes. I mean, we're not sure which direction to go. And so having that structured approach to the lessons and the coaching, we know works, right? So over the 8 weeks, what are the different things that you cover within the program?
Great question. So the first week, we really tackle setting up what your nutrition is going to look like. So we talk about what's your total energy going to be in terms of calories, and we talk about protein. Like those are the two big pieces. Whether your goal is I want to lose weight or I want to see more muscle definition, from a nutritional perspective, those are the two big ones that you're going to need to get in order. So we talk about like, what are the general principles? Like, what does the science teach us about that? And then how do we apply that to your life? I help you craft your personal plan. So by the end of the week, you're ready to go. You're very clear on how much you're going to be eating and what that food is going to like look like in your life. It's not like a meal plan. I'm not giving you saying like eat these 25 things and don't eat these 10 things. It's not like that. It's going to be general guidelines about calories and protein. And then I help you troubleshoot. Like if you're like I need to up my protein, but I eat a plant-based lifestyle. Like, what can I do about that? So we work together on that. So by the end of week 1, you're going to be very clear on your eating program. Week 2, we tackle exercise. So we talk about daily movement in the form of a step goal, and you get a strength training program. So I teach you what should a strength training program include? How should you do it? If you've never strength trained before, don't worry. It's very clear from the videos I show you about like why you're going to be doing it, what is supposed to be included, how you're supposed to do it. And then I give you a 6-week training program. You can choose a 3-day-a-week program or a 4-day-a-week program. It's scaled to meet you where you're at. If you've never squatted before, I'm going to give you a variation that's for a beginner. If you're like, I like to barbell back squat, I'm going to give you that. And then there's some things in between for those of you who are more intermediate. So you get your training program, and then I help coach you through it for the rest of those weeks. If you're like, wait, it's an 8-week program, but only 6 weeks of strength training. It's because week 1, we haven't even started the program, the strength training, right? We're going to fold it in. And then week 2, you have a whole week to really like get your feet wet and see like, do I need to get equipment? Do I need to get a gym membership? Like, I just want to practice these moves. And then the last 6 weeks, we really are hitting that training program hard and helping you learn how to use what's called progressive overload. What does that mean? How do I do it? Like I said, you can get form feedback from me on your videos so you feel really comfortable with your exercise. So then we get your nutrition in check, we get your exercise program going, and then the rest of the program, we really work, that's the meat of the program. The rest of the time together, we talk about all of the various types of hurdles and supports that are going to help you actually be able to follow through with this program. So we talk about things like mindful eating, like what is that and how does it help us to actually eat the amount of food that our body needs. We talk about that and we practice that. We talk about our menopause hurdles and midlife hurdles, like there's a whole bunch of them you might be having. And we talk about a framework for how do you approach those. There's a bonus module in there, Dr. Heather Hirsch. A lot of you may know her. She's a friend of Amanda's. She was just interviewed by Oprah recently.
La-di-da.
La-di-da. I'm very impressed by that. She created a bonus module for my program all about actual medical treatments for your menopause symptoms, because I'm not approaching that subject, but she's in there, gives some general kind of advice in that area and where to look and with your doctor and whatnot. So that's in there. So we talk about your hurdles, and then we talk about some of those specific hurdles. So we talk about what if you're not sleeping well? How do we improve your sleep quality and quantity? What if this is just a stage of your life that your sleep is not going to get any better right now? How do you still lose weight? How does lack of sleep impact weight loss? And what can we do, or what are some workarounds? We talk about time, because a lot of us are really crunched for time. So how do we get on our own priority list? Like practical strategies, like how do you actually make time for your fitness? So if you're like, I'm just too busy for this, I have an entire module that's going to help you to get that excuse out of there. Because look, ladies, we get one life, we get one body. If we constantly are like, I don't have time to take care of me, that's a problem. And we got to figure out like, how do we get ourselves up on the top of that list? And we talk about emotional eating and stress eating, why we do it, but more importantly, what the heck do we do about it? Like, how do we stop using that as our main coping mechanisms? Like sometimes we all do a little bit of that, and it's not a problem unless it's keeping you from your goals. Like if you're not able to have the body you want because emotional eating is your main coping mechanism, or if it is your main coping mechanism and you just don't have healthier options, it's a problem then. So we talk about all of those things over the course of the rest of the program. And I coach around those things so that you can actually follow through with the meat of the program, which is the eating and the working out.
Right, that's awesome. So I have a few sort of like comments, and before that, somebody, Sandra Allen, has just commented, I've just signed up half an hour ago.
I saw your name come through this morning. I was thinking, I know that name. Hi, Sandra. I'm excited for you to be in the program. Really excited to work with you, Sandra.
She said she's looking forward to feeling better, getting stronger, and making permanent changes. I am getting too old for this fad diet crap. And actually really love that comment, because that's exactly how we feel, Sandra. It's like a freaking hamster wheel, isn't it? That you're spinning your wheels and not getting anywhere. Absolutely. And, you know, Kim and I have spoke about this before. We keep saying it's so tiresome when we see diets being pushed to us that just feel so very difficult to keep on, that are not sustainable because it's too low calorie, or it's too extreme, or food groups have been omitted, and it just feels like you're actually not able to eat in that manner. For example, keto, when you really like carbohydrates. And And what Kim and I both know is that you don't need to do that. You can keep, and this is actually jumping into the point you made. You're actually able to do this while still eating the food you really like. And that's the whole point. You shouldn't need to completely overhaul your diet. There may be just some really glaringly obvious things that you don't realize. And we can say, hey, you know what you could do instead of that, that really will not feel like a climactic change. It's going to feel okay.
Yeah.
And it doesn't need to be super complex. And that's what I
Yes.
feel like we need to get rid of. She's
Yes, we
excited,
do.
Kim. She's
I'm
excited.
glad. You have every reason to be excited, Sandra. Get excited. I'm excited for you. You know, if the programs that you find that are overcomplicated, that seem really fancy and like, it's because they don't really have the evidence behind them, right? They're saying lots of words, but it feels really fancy because it doesn't necessarily work, or it could work, but it's not necessary to work. And one of those things is intermittent fasting. It can work. Like, it can be a strategy that works to lose weight. There is evidence behind it. What there's not evidence to show is that it is better to lose weight than any other way of eating. And I find for so many women, it's just not a good fit in their life. And they're trying to do the whole square peg in a round hole thing because they think they have to do it, and you don't.
And that's one of those examples of where, intermittent fasting can be really helpful for women when they want to lose weight if they don't enjoy eating breakfast, or they don't like eating late at night and they want to eat within a small window, because that's essentially why it works. Because there's a small, you're not eating for 12 hours, you're eating for 6 hours, say. But if you wake up and you're hungry, wouldn't it be radical just to eat? Just to have something to eat. And the thing is, what the perceived benefits of intermittent fasting, well, we know actually are no different to just losing weight anyway. It's like the idea that it usually benefits of the result of losing weight, not the methodology. But we do know from the methodology of intermittent fasting that it actually can be quite detrimental, especially through menopause, when women really need the carbohydrates and fueling first thing in the morning to sustain them through the day and their movement and their exercise. And so to me, if it works for you, fine, but don't feel like it's superior. And it certainly isn't indicated as being the most important diet for menopausal women at all. I don't care what anyone says. Show me the money.
Yeah, it can be tricky for a couple of reasons. One, it's hard to get your protein target in when you're only eating 2 meals. So that makes it harder. And we know, as women who are in our 40s and beyond, like, we really need to prioritize maintaining or building more muscle. And you can't do that if you're not eating enough protein. So intermittent fasting can be tricky for getting in enough protein, which is why, like, I don't say like, hey, it's a magic bullet. If somebody comes to me and they're like, I'm successful with intermittent fasting, great. And I can still have my protein, great. It's not the way. My program is not based around it, because I find there are just too many tricky parts. It's not a good fit for a lot of people's life. It's hard to get your protein in. Like you said, for a lot of us in perimenopause and in menopause, we're struggling with low energy. So you know what can help with that sometimes is food. Like, get up and get some friggin' food, lady.
Eat a banana like me.
Your banana post.
I posted the banana post yesterday.
I saw it. It was funny.
So I cut my hair today, and my mom texted me and went, "Oh my God, not again," type thing.
And then banana post. Today you're cutting your own hair. Who knows what Amanda's going to do tomorrow?
I was expecting my mom to say, what were you doing with that banana post? I posted it, and the only thing that stopped me pressing it was my mom. And I'm a 52-year-old woman, and I'm scared of my mom.
That's funny.
Anyway, and then the other thing I wanted to touch on was that you said about getting like movement in when you've never squatted and stuff before. And I just wanted to just like give my 2 cents on that, because I know we feel the same way about this, is that we do these movements every day anyway. And these movements are sort of functional and important for our health and longevity. And the idea of never being able to squat before, well, literally get up and down off a chair, get up and down off the loo. I mean, that's essentially the squat motion. We're just going to you're going to like teach them to do that with good biomechanics, potentially with loading, so that they get that better mobility and functional movement sort of solidified. And I think just when you just take the pressure off strength training and sort of say to women, this is going to help you move better, feel better, be stronger, be more capable, and promote independence, which are things we never cared about in our 20s, but now we're in our 50s. We're like, fucking
We
hell, I need.
do, yeah.
I know,
And you're
yeah,
right,
yeah, yeah.
Amanda. Like, so every time you get on and off the toilet, on and off a chair, you're squatting. Every time you like pick a box up from the floor, you're going to need to deadlift. If you're like trying to put things up in a high cupboard, like you're doing an overhead press, like you need to be able to be strong enough to
Yes.
do these motions. We want you to be mobile and independent for the rest of your life. And training properly to do these is going to help you to have less injuries. Some people are worried about strength training because they don't want to get hurt. You're way less likely to get hurt if you've actually strength trained, because where you're going to get hurt is in daily life, doing something like picking the box up wrong, and you don't have mobility, you don't have strength. That's when you're more likely to hurt. You're not more likely to get hurt when you're actually strength training.
Exactly. Sandra again has said she did try intermittent fasting, and while she did lose some weight temporarily, it made me tired and angry. You were just hungry. It wasn't a good match for me or my family during peri, and that's not something is unusual to hear. So I was going to ask you then about something that I think is a really important conversation in perimenopause, and that is our coping mechanisms, because we know that they're dampened somewhat. I don't really know the best way to describe it, but we know that we're struggling with potentially a higher cortisol, and our coping mechanisms maybe aren't sort of like as mindful as they could be. And it requires a lot of work to be aware of the food you eat, and be aware of how much you're moving or not moving, your reaction to things, your sleep schedule, all of those things. So how do you tackle that within the program? Because I know that is way more important than people think it is, right?
Yeah. So, a lot of times people think that the reason they're gaining weight is because like their metabolism has slowed, which research shows us it's not. And they don't factor in all the things you just mentioned that are actually why they're actually eating more and eating more than they think and moving less than they think. And so we tackle each one of these things in turn. So we really we help you to be really aware of like how much food are you eating and how much are you moving. It's shocking to people when I first have them like track their steps and they realize like, wow, I'm actually really pretty sedentary. And they thought that they would have classified themselves as active because maybe they do go to the gym 3 times a week, or they do go for a run 3 times a week, but the rest of the time they're sitting. And so building that awareness of that, and then building awareness of your eating habits. A lot of women come to me with this feeling of like, I don't eat that much, right? And what they don't realize is they're eating a lot of calories. They're just eating really calorie dense food, and they're hungry still, right? Because they're trying to like restrict themselves, but they're eating some really calorie dense food. Or on the other end, I get people who they say, I eat super healthy. I don't know why I don't lose weight. And reality there is healthy foods have calories too. And some of them are really calorie dense. And so it's just reducing that total quantity of the food. And so we really spend a lot of time building awareness, and you have a lot of like light bulbs like going off in your head about like, oh, this is happening and I didn't realize it. And they're not like life changing, like when you realize how small the tweaks can be, which is why you can stick with it. It's not that big a deal to like switch out, how many treats you're having a week and change your breakfast a little bit here, as it is to like overhaul and be like, now I don't eat carbs in my life, right? So we can make these changes that over time add up to have a big impact, but don't impact the quality of your life in a negative way.
I say to you, we have to make carbs great again. We live in a world of carbophobia, right? We literally are scared of carbs, and it's like I can't believe we're still having to have these type of conversations. But there's so much damage to repair. There's so much nonsense out there that I actually don't get how people who promote this misinformation get off on it. I don't get it. Like, I'm just like, why would you say something so stupid like don't eat grains?
So I think there's a couple of things going on there. My guess of people, one, they truly believe it, right? Because there's a lot. You can go to the bookstore right now and you're going to find books by doctors.
Wheat belly for one. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Wheat belly. So it has this sense of authority, right? That we're like, well, this is a doctor. They must know. And it's going to tell you something that you shouldn't eat. Excuse me.
Yeah.
All these things you shouldn't eat, right? And then you're going to read another book and it's going to say the exact opposite. So there's a lot of confusion out there. So oftentimes people believe what they're saying, if they're the ones producing this content. And then the rest of the lay population, how are they supposed to know, right? They're like, well, the doctor said, right? My own doctor, I went to the doctor for my heart. And my own doctor gave me a diet he thought I should use. I'm working on reducing my cholesterol. And I looked at it and I was like, I got the book just because I was so curious. It was a terrible program. And I went back to him and I was just like, the book you gave me is all about cutting out carbs. I should be eating high fiber diet if I have high cholesterol, because that's literally evidence-based information to help me reduce my cholesterol. Like, I need the fiber. He's like, yeah, I just find that if you can go keto, it can help to lose a lot of weight. He's like, sometimes it doesn't. I was horrified.
But keto is potentially high saturated fat,
Yes.
which is the exact opposite of what you need.
Right.
Okay.
It absolutely is. But he said sometimes it helps because it helps people lose weight faster. And I'm like, this is not, and I told him, I was like, I think this is a terrible program you're handing people. And I think you should probably send people to a nutritionist and stop giving out dietary information.
Yeah.
My point is, the general public, we're confused. A lot of people are presenting varying kinds of information. You don't know where to look. And then for other people who are pushing programs, one of the main reasons they do is they're just trying to make some money and they don't really care.
You
They don't really care.
Yeah, I think so too. And using the fallacy appeal to authority drives me crazy. Don't question me because I'm a doctor. Yeah, we can fucking question you all we want. Okay, so little feisty pants here. Okay, so I really love that. And then moving on, the other thing I want to talk about before you sort of like finish off, I'll check if there's any questions, is I want to talk to you about how we look at like we talked about the coping mechanisms, but what disordered eating impacts you see in this program? What type of examples of things do women present and how do they tackle them? Like, what does that look like practically?
Yeah, so I will absolutely not work with somebody who has an active eating disorder. So that's one of the things. There are very few people who won't work with my group, but if you are struggling with an actual eating disorder, I definitely would suggest you see, an eating disorder specialist, a counselor of some kind, a registered dietitian who specializes in that. That said, there's a lot of people who have some kind of disordered behaviors because we've grown up in diet culture, right? Like, we're afraid of certain foods. We're afraid of the scale. We have really wonky viewpoints on food, our body, and the scale. And so that's something I actually coach around a lot. As long as it's not an actual eating disorder, we help you get comfortable with eating all kinds of food that you want to eat, but you've been too afraid to eat. I help teach you how to use the scale. The problem with the scale isn't the scale, it's how we view the scale. So I really want to help you to detach emotion from the scale and look at it as a scientist would, as a machine to gather data. Like, we don't get upset like if our yardstick says a certain measurement. Like, do you get upset about your yardstick? Do you get upset about like the protractor you use, right? Nobody like gets all this emotion about those measuring tools, but the scale, we have all this emotion, and we can learn to take that emotion away and look at it as a tool. If for some reason a person tries that and it's not a great fit for them, we can also have you just not use the scale, and I can help you learn to measure your progress in ways other than the scale. So we can look at your circumference measurements, we can look at the fit of your clothing, like actually getting a pair of pants or a skirt with a hard waistband, putting that on every week or two to see, okay, I'm actually losing weight. The scale is not actually going to be what makes you lose weight. It just helps you measure your progress. So if it's not a good fit for you, have you use your fit of your clothes, your circumference measurements, and looking at progress pictures. And whether you use the scale, even if you do use the scale, I want you to use those other measurements as well. But there's no reason for us to go for the next however many years we're alive, 30, 40 years, 50 maybe, years where we're afraid of the scale, right? And it's like determining how we feel about our day and determining what we wear and what we eat and how we move. There's no reason for that. Like, we can get over that. And I really like to help people do that.
And then I know one of the things you do as well is also just like non-scale victories, right?
Yes.
Things that are nothing to do with how much you wear or how you look.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's so many, whether it's like learning how to do your first push-up, or it's like, hey, I actually went out for pizza Friday night and didn't freak out and then like worry that I was going to lose on my progress. Like, I enjoyed the experience and just enjoyed my pizza. Whether it's like shutting up the mean girl voice in your head that tells you like a scale going up one day is bad. There's so many non-scale victories, that whether it's in our voice in our head, how we're enjoying our food, what our body can do, so many victories that you can look forward to that have nothing to do with how much you weigh.
Yeah, great. And then there's Priya, sorry, I don't know how to pronounce that, asked a question. I don't know what she's looking for here, but we can talk about the the issue, which is, there's people who've been on programs like Optavia. I don't know that one, but I think it may be an MLM program.
It is.
Eating very low calories, like less than 1,200 calories. And so I don't know what you're asking for is people able to come on Kim's program who have done that. But let's just talk about what Optavia and eating 1,200 calories sort of looks like.
Yeah. So Optavia, I hate that program. They're ones, they have ads, you'll see them all over social media. They'll say something like, lose 30 pounds by Easter, and Easter's in 7 days. Like, they'll say something crazy like that. And then they also always advertise no exercise needed, which, like, look, technically you don't have to have exercise to lose weight, but it's a really good idea to exercise when you're losing weight to preserve your muscle. So I really don't like the program. They have a sister company called MetaFast, which I did back in the day. And when you do this program, it really is, it's like 900 calories per day, these kinds of programs. And you're eating they call them fuelings, and they're little, like you'll get like a little granola bar that's this big, or like a little pancake that's this big. And that's your entire meal. Like, it's this little bitty bit amount of food, and you'll eat it for 2 meals a day. And then you get 1 meal where you can eat like lean and green. And so it's like vegetables and protein. And that's all you eat.
So it's starvation.
It's starvation. It absolutely is. Now, the MetaFast version, which is the same as the Optavia version, what they've added in Optavia or Optavia, however you say it, they've added like this habit-based component where they coach you through habits, which is great, but it still doesn't take away from the fact that they're feeding you 900 calories.
All right. That's so
crazy.
okay. So I hope that's helpful, Priya. But I as personally as a nutrition coach as well, I would just highly recommend staying away from that. If you're an active woman as well, we need fuel in our body. You can still eat
the worst diet.
Yeah, you can still eat a decent amount of calories and feel satisfied and still lose weight. If losing weight is your goal, it doesn't need to be extreme. And the fact is, these things are just not sustainable and typically backfire.
Like, yeah, everybody I know who's done that program, except for one person, and the one person I know, she's a coach, and so she lost like 100 pounds and then has gained some of it back, but has kept most of it off. Every other person I know, when I say a coach, I mean for that program, every person I know who's done it, not only did they gain the weight back, they gained all of the weight back quickly and then some. One of the big problems.
Yeah, because you don't know what to do when you stop, right? That's
it. You did not learn how to change your behaviors, how to eat, what foods keep you full, what a portion size look like. You've just been using their food, and you've lost muscle because you've been eating such a low calorie and low protein diet. So now you've lost muscle. That's keep the weight off.
So just to confirm, Priya was actually saying, yes, she's the nutrition coach, and so she actually gets that, but she's just saying, what's your take on such people? So that's your take. So would you take such people on in your program? Oh, for absolutely. Sure, because they need to be rewired. Like, we need to give them the power back, Priya, for sure. Like, to me, it's like one of those things where this industry we need to help women unpack and get back so that they have choice, they have control, they're not told what to eat, they get to choose what to eat based on their own. Oh, for sure. Sorry, I misread you, Priya.
Yeah, Priya, I take women who come to my program have done all the diets. Name a diet. There's a woman, lots of women who have done them. All the name diets, they've done them. And that's one of the things we really work through is, what do we have still living in our brain from all of these diets we've done? Like, what rules do we have in our brain that we need to push past and, actually experience freedom from those rules? Because even if you say it out loud, like, I don't have to eat 900 calories, some part of you is still probably believing that if one Kim gives me 1,700 calories, I can't possibly lose weight. And so we have to have lots of talks and practice until you get evidence behind you seeing like, wow, I actually did lose weight eating the $1,700 calories. That's where the coaching piece comes in, where I help you stick with it till you actually get the results.
Yeah, and there's no need for any protocol. I think the question comes around from do they need to ease into the program, do some type of reverse diet, and which is essentially just going back to maintenance. I'm going to answer that for you. No, you don't, because the whole point of Kim's program is it's a habit-based learning. We're literally actually teaching women how to fuel for their body individually. I keep saying we, I'm nothing to do with the program, but I just know how you coach.
I need to bring Amanda in to help me with this program, because it's a we now.
I know it's a we now. I just know how you coach. And Sandra said, is there any value in purchasing any type of fitness tracker? Will we be tracking our steps, our sleep, etc., anything like that? what do you
So
recommend?
you need a very basic step tracker. Like you could literally go on Amazon and buy like a $13 step tracker, go to the dollar store, go to Target. It doesn't have to be like a Fitbit or an Apple Watch. If you have that, and some people find that they really like those, great. But we are going to be tracking steps. That's the only thing we're going to track with these devices. We're not tracking anything else. And
You can do that
then
on your phone as well, though.
well, the problem with that is most women don't carry their phone around all the time, right? Some
Right.
of us do.
Okay.
So you
Yeah.
can use your phone. It's not usually as accurate because people don't usually have it on them. If you're like, I don't want to buy anything, but I have my phone, great. We're just going to have you start keeping your phone in your pocket all the time. Otherwise, then you're just going to download like a free tracking app to track your food to build that awareness there. So I give you a bunch of options of ones that, I've looked into that seem like good ideas.
Yeah, good stuff. Okay, so the program is live now. I've put a link in the comments for everyone, and it closes tomorrow.
Tomorrow night at 10 p.m. Eastern. That's when I close the doors. I only do this twice a year. So if you don't get in now, I don't do this again until next fall. First week of September, I'll do it again. But otherwise, and that's a long time away, ladies. Can you imagine fall? Like we got to get all the way through spring and summer still. So that's a long time away.
It snowed here yesterday, so
it did?
there's that. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So yeah, program is open just till tomorrow night. We start the end of next week. Soft start is next Friday. That's when you get the first module that drops into your course library. So you can kind of start learning about the calories and the protein. It's a holiday weekend. So really we're going to be up and going by that following Tuesday, right? I want people to enjoy their holiday weekend, have time to start digesting the information. We'll be up and going by Tuesday. I like starting on a Tuesday because it doesn't have that I'll start Monday mentality.
So what happens is people who sign up individually get to calculate what their actual calorie needs would be, right? So
yes.
even if someone had been on extremely low calories, I think that there's seems like a bit of a nervousness about like maybe being in one protocol and going to another, and how do we adapt to that?
Yeah.
But what you're saying is that we'll actually look at each individual and then work it out.
Yes, my assistant coach, Andrea, and I will have our eyes on every single person's numbers. So in the module that you'll watch, it'll teach you like how to set your calories, why you're setting them that way. And then I have you share with me. And I tell you, if you share all of this information with me, I'm going to look at it all and we're going to make sure it's correct. And we're going to have a conversation with you. So I have you tell me like, why you set your activity level the way you did, what your activity is. So I don't just say like, tell me what you think and I'll say yes or no. Like we have a big conversation about this so that your numbers are set correctly. So if you feel like you've been under eating, I promise you, we're going to get you to the point where you can eat enough food, feel good about it. Will you see an initial burst on the scale? Well, if you've been eating 900 calories and losing weight, if you've been eating 900 calories on paper, you might not have actually been eating 900 calories in reality, but you might see like an initial tiny spike in the scale, but over the long term, it's going to go down. And I'm going to be right there helping you with all of that. So yeah,
okay.
I will help you personally to get your calories set.
Okay, awesome. So I feel like that was a good deep dive into what is on offer. The post will stay on my Facebook page. So if anyone has any other questions, just put them in there and I can ask Kim and Kim can go in herself and answer. And yeah, that's it. So I'd like to say thank you to everyone that joined in today. It was really nice to see you and have all those questions asked. And thank you, Kim, for being you.
Oh, thanks for having me, Amanda. I appreciate it.
Okay, and bye for now, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
See ya. Bye.